Hello everyone! This video is going to be about phone safety. Now, mobile phones are so exciting and they're really useful, but they can be a little bit dangerous if you don't know how to set them up properly and you don't use them in a safe way. So this video is just going to show you how you can stay safe using your mobile phone. Firstly, I wanted to give you some tips on looking after your phone. They are quite easy to break, but there's a few ways you can avoid them getting broken. So my number one tip that I am also quite guilty of, but it's really bad, is do not put your phone in your back pocket. This is because someone could come along and pinch it and it'll be gone before you can even notice it's gone. And also it'll fall out and it'll smash all over the floor, and that is just a disaster. Mine is a bit smashed from an incident like that. So yeah, don't put your phone in your back pocket. Next is something that Nettie tells me off for all the time, but just never do it, and that's putting your bank cards in the back of your phone. If you lose your phone, you've lost your bank card too, and that's really bad if someone's actually stolen it, because then they're into all your money as well. So yeah, that's a really important tip. Don't put your bank cards in the back. Next, I would avoid getting your phone wet. Some phones nowadays are waterproof, but not many, and it just makes them all break and they just won't work anymore. One way you can save them is to put them in a bowl of rice, but really you're just better off not getting it wet. Finally, for keeping your phone safe, is don't leave it unattended. Don't leave it on a table, just don't leave it anywhere where you aren't, because someone else might pick it up and think, oh, this is a nice phone, and then you won't have it anymore. Now for keeping you safe using your phone. So, most phones, you can input a password to them now. Some of them will read your face, some of them will read your thumbprint, but most of them you can put in a number. So this one does that. Here. It says, swipe up and enter password. So this needs to be a password that only you know. So it has to be something memorable but not obvious. So I maybe wouldn't put your birthday, because then someone else that knows you could guess it and you might not want them in your phone. So just something that you can remember that other people don't know. My next tip would be to only have people in your contacts that you actually know. So this will be your friends and your family, so that when they try to ring you, it will come up with their name. And so when you swipe to answer, you know you'll be speaking to them and only them. Lots of people might try to call you, so it's important that you know who you're speaking to and that they're good people. If a number tries to ring you that you don't recognise, or if you're not expecting a call from an unknown number, then my advice would be to ignore it and then show an adult, and they will help you decide whether it's worth ringing back or whether it's someone like a company trying to scam you or try and get information from you. And if that's the case, then they can show you how to block that caller so that they can't ring you back again. Lots of phones now have something called apps. These are these little boxes and they all do different things. So there's your camera and your messages, but actually apps store a lot of data, and data is information about you, like your age and your name and where you live and where you are currently. They even track your location. So it's important that you go into your settings, which is this button here if you have an iPhone, and scroll down to the bottom and just check that all the apps that you use aren't sharing data or using data that you don't want them to have. For example, this app here is the Boots app for the shop in town. Now on here it's saying it has access to my camera, it has access to my location. There is no need for that shop to have access to my camera. So I click that button there and turn that off and turn the location to never. They never need to know my location because I just go into the shop if I'm there. So there's no need for them to have that. And I would do that with all my apps just to make sure all my personal information on my phone is safe. Now, there's a certain type of app called social media. On my phone, it's these four along the bottom. These generally help you connect with friends and so you can get updates to see what they're doing. But actually, when it comes to social media, that's probably where the most danger lies when you're using your phone, because lots of people around the world use social media and they can add you and you might not necessarily know them. And so you don't want them seeing what you're doing on a day-to-day basis. So my first advice to you is to have your privacy settings really strict. Ask an adult to set that. Mine are really strict and I'm an adult, so I would really recommend that you have strict privacy settings so that nobody can add you as a friend that you don't know. Also, if you use lots of social media sites, so Instagram and Snapchat or Facebook, then definitely have a different password for each one. You can store it in your phone so that your phone remembers the password, or even write it down in a special diary hidden in your house. Just have a different password so that hackers can't get onto your account and steal all your information. The next thing I would say about social media is be careful who you are talking to. I know I've already said don't talk to anyone you don't know. Your family and friends are fine, but sometimes people can slip through the net, and if anyone's talking to you and is being unkind to you, being nasty, or is bullying you, then I encourage you to block that person. There is a button that will say block, and that means that they can't talk to you anymore, and report them. And that tells Facebook or whatever social media site you're using, this person is being unkind, and then they will probably get banned from the site. If someone is sending you really nasty messages, then I encourage you to tell your teacher or Andrew at school. The last thing I would say about social media is be careful about what you say and about what you share. So everything you say, unlike in the real world, is pretty much there forever. So if you're saying something nasty, not that you should be, but if you were to say something, then that is there forever, and that could really upset some people. And also, if you get sent something like a picture that's mean about somebody else and then you share it, you then no longer have any control about where that goes. So it could end up in the wrong hands. And so my advice is to be mindful of what you're saying and always be kind when you're on these websites. And the last thing I wanted to say was a little something about YouTube. Now, YouTube is brilliant. You're probably watching me on YouTube right now, and you can watch all your favourite videos and it's great. But actually, anyone can post on YouTube in the world. So some of the videos might not be appropriate. There might be really scary films or games where horrible things happen to people. So my advice would be to set your YouTube controls to your age so that you don't see any videos that you shouldn't do. And I hope that that will help you enjoy YouTube a bit more. So there's a few tips for how to stay safe using your phone. I hope they help you. If you have any questions, just ask your teacher or me.